जी नमस्ते।
Namaste, Savita.
Namaste. Namaste ji, namaste.
Namaste.
So we are going to start the program.
Yes, please. Yes.
Namaste. Welcome to the fourth session of our 5-day faculty development program on Self-Reliant India Mission, ATMANIRBHAR Bharat, organized by SSUN Kanyakumari region and UG and PG Department of Commerce and Internal Quality Assurance Cell of Sree Ayyappa College for Women. Let's begin our day by the prayer. Please stay tuned. Welcome again. Today we are really fortunate to have Professor Kanakasabhapathi ji with us and also our participants from all across the nation, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. To welcome all, let me invite Dr. V. Sonia, Head, Department of Commerce, Sree Ayyappa College for Women. Ma'am, please.
Namaste. I extend a warm welcome to one and all to the fourth day of the Faculty Development Program on ATMANIRBHAR Bharat ABHIYAN or Self-Reliant India Mission, jointly organized by Shiksha Samskriti Uthanyas, Kanyakumari region and Sree Ayyappa College for Women, Chungangade. ATMANIRBHAR Bharat has become the buzzword since our Honorable Prime Minister first mentioned this during his announcement of the coronavirus pandemic-related economic package in May 2020. Though the government clearly clarifies that this policy does not aim to be protectionist in nature and also does not mean cutting off from the rest of the world, as common citizens, we still have many doubts. To throw some light on this topic, we have arranged this 5-day faculty development program where we have got the opportunity to hear to some eminent personalities on various topics related to ATMANIRBHAR Bharat for the past 3 days of this FTP. At this outset, I extend a heartfelt gratitude on behalf of Sree Ayyappa College for Women to Shiksha Sanskriti Uttanyas for arranging such eminent personalities as keynote speakers for this FTP. In this regard, for today's session, we have with us Dr. P. Kanakasabhapathi sir, who is an independent director, the Shipping Corporation of India, Mumbai, as the keynote speaker, and he is going to enlighten us on the topic Indian economy and business and indigenous perspective. Dr. P. Kanakasabhapathi sir is a professor, author, writer, and a social worker. Known for his pioneering field studies in industrial and business clusters in different parts of the country, he is involved in studying the Indian economic, social, business, and management systems from the native perspectives. He was one of the key members of the study team that undertook the study of Gujarat kite industry on the invitation of the Gujarat government during 2003-2004. After obtaining his doctorate in finance as a UG research fellow, he was associated with the stock markets for a brief period. He was earlier the director of the Tamil Nadu Institute of Urban Studies, the state-level research and training institute promoted by the state government. He writes in Tamil and English. He has written many books and a number of papers and articles in several publications. His book entitled Indian Models of Economy, Business and Management is considered a pioneering initiative towards Indianizing the economics and management education in our country. It is recommended as a text and reference in the reputed institutions at the national level, such as the Indian Institute of Management, Bengaluru, Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai, and Amrita University, besides the University of Kerala. He has also written for the Central Board of Secondary Education, New Delhi. One of his other books, Prosperous India, is being translated into 3 Indian languages, including Hindi. His book, Bharata Puruladaram Andrum Indrum, is recognized as the first work in Tamil that presents the history of the Indian economy and business from the Indian point of view. He is associated with universities and educational institutions in different capacities, such as the member of the University Syndicate, Governing Board, and Boards of Studies. It is indeed my honor to having got an opportunity to introduce such a great personality to you all. I welcome you, sir. Next, I welcome our beloved principal, Dr. K.V. Jayashree ma'am, and our IQAC coordinator, Dr. K. Meena ma'am. I welcome all the participants who have joined us for today's session and wish you all the best to have a great session ahead. I once again welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sonia ma'am. As you told, it's our honor to have Professor Kanakasabhapathi ji among us to enlighten us and deliberate on Indian economy and business and indigenous perspective. Professor, the platform is yours.
Yes, yes. Very good afternoon to all of you. Respected Professor Jayashree Madam, Professor Meena Madam, and dear members of faculty of Sree Ayyappa College for Women, Kanyakumari, and dear participants from various parts of the country, and my own fellow brothers and sisters of SSUN. I'm extremely happy to be here to share some of my thoughts on this very important topic, Indian economy and business and indigenous perspective.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Can you on your video?
Oh. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Very sorry. So I'm very happy to be here to share some of my thoughts on Indian economy and business and indigenous perspective. This topic has gained importance, especially after the Corona crisis, and particularly after our Honorable Prime Minister emphasized this concept of self-reliant India. All of us know that the Indian education system, to a very large extent, is dominated by the Western ideas and approaches, even after 70+ years. If you take the economics education or subjects related to business management, Much of it is largely influenced by the Western thoughts, Western approaches, Western systems. As a result, whatever we study, whatever we teach, either we don't present the Indian economy, Indian businesses properly to the students. Second, much of the time we underrate and underpresent it. So as a result, our students do not know the significance of Indian economy, Indian businesses, either its history or the contemporary functioning systems. So this is very important because as we all know, economy is very, very important. So as a result, economics as a subject, business as a subject, they are all very critical to the functioning of a nation. As far as India is concerned, we have a very long history. We would often call it was a performing India. So if you see the background of economy, Indian economy, we have at least some 7,000, 8,000 years of history. So economics history, business history, we have several centuries of background. In the 1980s, there was a discussion in the Western countries. The discussion was due to one particular reason, because we all study in textbooks that the economic development or the contemporary period originated in Europe. It began only with the Industrial Revolution. That is what we teach and then we study. So in the Western countries in the 1980s, some of the economists raised this question: is it true? Then the reason for that is, during that time, one economist, Belgian economist by name Paul Peyrac, he wrote an article in which he said, in the year 1750, some 250 years back, in the year 1750, the share of India and the share of China in the global economy was very high. So both shares of both the countries were very high. And the entire scenario changed only after that. So he compared only 150 years between 1750 and 1900. And he said, during the middle of the 18th century, that is 1750 CE, Common Era, he said, India and China were the superior powers. So this created a problem for them. So they wanted to know whether this is really correct or not. So for this purpose, they appointed a committee consisting of well-known economists, economic historians. It was headed by a person called Angus Madison, a very well-known economic historian. So for about 16, 17 years, they studied the economic history of the world for the past 2,000 years. Because for the Westerners, the maximum period that they could imagine was only 2,000 years. So they undertook the study for 2,000 years. And after about 17 years of hard work, this study was came out in the form of a report. Later, it was published as a book also. It was the report came in the year 2001. The report created for the first time a huge wave, because the report said that 2020 years before, we are living in the common era. This is called as 2020th year of the common era. So the report said 2000 years back, that is during the beginning of the common era, India's contribution to global GDP was 32.9%, almost 33%. So 1/3 of the global wealth was here in India. Global output was from here in India. Global production was here in India. So as a result, we were the richest nation in the whole world. A country could not have emerged as a very rich nation suddenly. That means for hundreds of years before that, strong foundations must have been laid. But we don't know the GDP growth rates as the way we understand now for the years preceding 2020 CE. But even if we take these 2000 years, the available data shows that we were the richest nation in the whole world. China was following us. China's share was 26.2%. So India and China together contributed almost 60%. And countries surrounding us, including Japan, they contributed another 17%. So the experts noted that it was an India-driven, Asia-dominated economy. So this was the position. We were the richest country in the whole world. And this position continued almost uninterrupted for about 17 centuries, more than 17 centuries. China was following us for most of the time. So China and India were the two most important economic powers in the world, with India leading most of the time. Not only that, we remained as a sustainable economic power in the world. If you see the economic history of the past 300 years, we see that no one country remains at the top for more than 80 years, 90 years. Great Britain was there, then Great Britain position declined. Then America became the richest country. We all know that America is now facing problem. But before America and Britain, this Spain and Portugal was there for some time. So no Western country remained at the top for a longer period. But here, India remained as the topmost economic power, followed by China uninterruptedly for at least 17 to 18 centuries. So we remained as the most sustainable power. So this is the background that we have to see. We all know the first economics book was written here in India 2,300 years back. And in that book, Kautilya quotes 105 or 110 authors before him. So I made a rough calculation which showed that economics as a subject must have been taught here in India at least about 26 for about 26, 27 centuries. So this is the background. And now some of the professors from in the Western countries, they are studying about our business history. You will be surprised to know the modern corporate system. A similar system was there in India 2,600, 500 years back. And that system has been in existence for at least some 2,000, more than 2,000 years. So this is the background. So we have to understand that we have a very long, high-performing economic and business history in the entire world. I don't have time, otherwise I would have explained to you. But this is enough for us to understand that we have had a long economic business history. But coming to the present, we all know at the time of independence, India was a poor country. So if we see that time, our share of global GDP was just 4%. I told you 2020 years back, it was 33%. So we were made poor. It became 4% because the Britishers, Europeans completely destroyed our economy in a period of 150 years. So our GDP came down to just 4%. Our industrial business sectors were destroyed, systematically destroyed. Agriculture was destroyed. So all high-performing sectors such as textiles, we always remained as an exporter in textile business. That was completely decimated. And our education system, we were the pioneers in education in the entire world. But our university education system, school education system were completely destroyed. When the Britishers came here, they started collecting details with regard to our education system. They wanted to find out the number of schools, colleges, higher educational institutions functioning. And in 1820, between 1820 and 26, they conducted a series of studies. All the studies indicated that we were the most literate nation in the whole world. The whole world. But within a period of about 70 years, they completely destroyed the education system. Will Durant writes, by 1891, India's literacy rate was just 6%. 1820s, our literacy rate was 75%. 1891, our literacy rate was just 9%. That too, women literacy rate 6%, because in a period of 60 years, they completely destroyed the education system and they created divide in the the way in which our education system functions, so that poor people were not allowed to study, girl students were not allowed to study. All these problems creeped in. So as a result, at the time of independence, our literacy rate was just 17 to 18%. 80% of the people were dependent on agriculture and rural activities, because business and trade completely destroyed. And even the average age of life expectancy was just 32 years. Can we believe it? Just 32 years in 1950. So this was the position. We were made a very, very poor nation. But you see, in the last 70 years, 72 years now, 70 years, in spite of all these problems, India has been emerging as an important power. Today, if we see India's GDP in terms of purchasing power parity, because a method used to compare economic of different countries, the third largest economy in the world, our GDP is more than $10 trillion. More than $10 trillion. So we are the third largest economy in the whole world, even today, in spite of all problems. If we see the economic approaches that were followed in India after independence, unfortunately, for most of the time, we believed that the Western approaches will help us to deliver goods. So as a result, initially, for about almost more than 35 years, we followed the socialistic system. So as a result, India could not move beyond a point. By the year 1990, we did not even have the funds to pay for our oil imports. We had to pledge our gold with the Bank of England, borrow some money to pay for our oil imports. This was the position after 40 years. Why? The socialistic approach. So one Western approach failed. So immediately what our policymakers did, they adopted the other approach, namely the globalization approach. Again, this is not ours. Again, this was the one thrust on us by the Western powers. So we followed it. As a result, our agricultural MSME sectors had to face huge problems. This is at the policy making level. Unfortunately, our policymakers were trying to adopting only the Western approaches, two popular approaches, namely communism and Western capitalism. But in confusions and contradictions at the policy making level, India has been growing, continuously growing. As a result, as I said today, we are the third largest economy in the whole world. Not only that, London Business School had estimated that India had 85 million entrepreneurs, 8.5 crore, perhaps the largest number in the whole world. So we have so many entrepreneurs in India. Why? What is the reason? This is what we have to understand. This is the indigenous perspective. In fact, this is the real perspective. For the last 25 years, some of us, we have been going across the country to different economic centers, industrial, business, agricultural centers, and then take up field studies to find out what exactly has been happening at the ground level now in the 21st century. It is not something connected with the earlier periods. Now what is happening at the ground level? So based on this, I will share these thoughts so that you will get an insight into the functioning of the Indian economy and business. We all know that the saving rate in India is very, very high. Even now, last year, our saving rate was 30% of our GDP. So for every 100 rupee of output, our mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, they save 30%. This is one of the very high rates in India. Why? Saving is part and parcel of Indian life. It's a part of our culture. Because every mother, every father feels it is her duty to save as much money as possible so that their children will have better future, better education, better prospects, better fortune. So as a result, our people save money. They may not be interested to take good food, wear good clothes, but their idea, objective, their aim in life is to give better food to the children, better education to the children, better facilities to the children, to create better opportunities for the children. As a result, huge savings take place at different levels. Some of us, we have conducted several studies in different aspects of this. I'll just give one example very briefly. So about 17, 18 years back, we conducted a study among the lady flower vendors in Coimbatore flower market. You know, these lady flower vendors are coming from very ordinary background, in fact, very poor background. They don't have much education. Of course, they don't have financial background at all. So when we conducted that study, it is true even today, when we conducted the study, you know, they used to come in the morning at 6 o'clock with only baskets in their hands because they don't have money even to buy their daily requirements of flowers for their business. So on the other side, usually there will be financiers waiting for them every day. So in those days, they used to give 1,000 rupees to each of them. So these ladies borrow money, go to the other side of the market, buy flowers from the wholesale market, and then sit in their allotted respective places. By 1:30 noon, they would have sold their flowers. Normally, their earnings used to be in those days between 300 to 350 per day. Again, by 1:30, the financiers will come. So they will return the money that they had borrowed in the morning with interest, 1,000 rupees plus 100 rupee interest, very high rates of interest, 10% for not even half a day, 1/4 of a day. And that is the reason why our Prime Minister introduced this Mudra scheme. So normally they will give the money by 1:30, 1,000 plus 100, 1,100. But still they will be left with maybe 200, some of them 250, some of them 300, etc. But even then, they will not be taking the 200 or 250 back home. By 2 o'clock, a chit fund wala will come, and each of them used to give 100 rupee daily to that chit fund person, saving money. With the balance money only, they will go home. It may be 150 or 100 or 200, they will go home. So we calculated that that time in one flower market, there were about 17 or 18 ladies. One flower market alone, annual saving was about 7,30,000 rupees. Can we believe it? We call them very ordinary people. We call them uneducated people. You know, our ordinary Indians have enormous economic wisdom, especially the ladies. Enormous economic wisdom. So this is how savings take place in different parts of the country. I mentioned only the ordinary Indians. Even at the top levels, when we compare it with the international level, our Indian institutions save enormous amount of money. So as a result, if you see India, if you see the nationalized bank saving deposits alone today, it's about 120 lakh crores. 120 lakh crores. This is how our people had saved money. You know, when the Prime Minister introduced this Jan Dhan scheme about 4 or 5 years back, there were a lot of criticisms because that system was introduced for those who don't even have the money to open their bank accounts. You know, 100 rupees, 200 rupees. Many people ask, you know, they don't even have the money to open their bank accounts. How are they going to save? You know what is the saving that is lying in the saving account of the Jan Dhan account holders? 1,32,000 crores. Now, during Corona period, 1,32,000 crores. So much of saving, because in India, saving is part of our culture. So this is how this savings helps us to develop, promote new institutions, new enterprises. As a result, economic developments happen. One is, you know, facilitating the growth and development of the children in the family. Second, this is how businesses are also incorporated. I'll give you a few details as to how the businesses get incorporated in India and function. If you see India, India is largely a non-corporate sector economy. That means small and medium enterprises dominate it. And it is this MSME sector, micro, small, medium enterprise sector, that dominates our economy, whether in terms of employment, whether in terms of turnover, whether in terms of exports. It is this sector that is contributing much. Of course, corporate sector also contributes, but the share of corporate sector is about 14 to 15%, whereas the MSME sector is 4 times more than the corporate sector. So if you see the MSME sector in India, this MSME sector plays a very important role. Almost 99% of the units, enterprises coming under the MSME sector are either small or micro. Small or micro. If you see the background of the small and micro businesses, they are all promoted by the ordinary people of this country without much education, without much financial background, with the help of their own savings, with the help of their own family members. This is how India is functioning. Today, in fact, 2013, Government of India data shows that there are more than 63 million small enterprises in this country, 6.3 crore, 6.34 crore enterprises in this country. And most of these businesses do not require any infrastructure or any equipment. You know, we always see many people selling items on the roadside, or people selling items in bicycle, you know, very ordinary people. Most of the businesses belong to this category. Of course, we have these medium enterprises also. So if you see the MSME sector, it is this sector that dominates our economy. And it is this sector that is providing lot of employment. About 11.5 crore employment are provided by the MSME sector, the highest number. If you take the organized sectors, both the government and private corporate sector, both of them together provide employment to only about 1.8 crore or so people. But here 11.5 crore people, MSME sector. Besides, in India, even today, about 50% of the total workforce is working in self-employment sector. You know, people doing their own work, promote their own units, work. And in many cases, about 83% of the self-employed businesses are managed by one person along with his or her family members. This is the background of India. So the entire economic development in the last 70 years is driven by our local people. Families are responsible for it. You know, in India, family is not just a social, cultural unit. It is the most basic economic unit of this country. It is the economic unit of this country. So whenever somebody wants to do something, he or she normally consults. When somebody does it, he consults his wife, parents, and then engage in promote a small unit, small enterprise. Family members contribute. You know, in all Indian businesses, especially at the lower levels, SME sector, all family members are involved, either directly or indirectly. Not only here, even when they go abroad. That is why I remember having studied an important article with regard to the grocery stores in UK. You know, UK citizens were surprised to see ladies in the grocery stores sometimes during the day. Sometimes men will be there. So somebody conducted a study and it was reported also some 10, 15 years back. Then only they realized that in India, Indians, wherever they are, you know, if you take that kind of grocery store, normally men will go and open in the morning. And then women, after completing their family chores, work, and then sending children to school and all, they will come and relieve these people. So in time, he will go buy from the wholesale market and all. And again, he will come. Evening again, you know, family, wife with children, they will come and sit for some time in the shop. So this was reported. But for us in India, this is very normal. What I mean to say here is, here all economic activities involve all the family members, either directly or indirectly. So this is how in India businesses function. Families play the most dominant role because it is the families that provide funds to the businesses. It is the families that support the entrepreneur. Whenever he or she needs help, so the entire family is involved. Here, women play the most important role. In fact, we have conducted studies in different parts of the country. Now I am offering a course for the last 3 years in Shastra University, a separate course on women based on our own field studies. The role of women in Indian economy and business. Because it is the women folk, it is our mothers and sisters who drive the Indian economy, even though they are not visible to the outside world. They may not be visible, they are not visible, but it is they who drive. Of course, I have very many examples, examples that I have explained elsewhere. My YouTube lectures are also available. But I will give just one example to underline this. It is not just the mothers, it is not just the wives of entrepreneurs. Even sisters, even grandmothers play a very important role. In fact, when we were conducting field studies with regard to especially the women folk, we came across an important study. We only conducted it. It was about the hotel industry. All of us know these Ayyappa, Ananda Bhavan, Vasanta Bhavan hotels. So it was promoted by a particular community from the central Tamil Nadu. Now these people are there across the country, in different parts of the country, even abroad. Many other countries, you see Ayyappa, Ananda Bhavan hotels. So when we studied them, their background, we came to know that in about 1/4 of the hotels, the promoters told us, sir, when we were looking for funds initially, it is our married sisters who helped us to get funds. How did they do? They go and nudge their husbands, compel their husbands to provide funds to their brothers. So as a result, some 23% of the hotels in India, in Tamil Nadu, the Sari Bhavan, Ananda Bhavan, Vasanta Bhavan groups, were promoted in the last 40-50 years. Can we believe it? But this is how Indian economy is functioning. But do we see a single word about family in Indian economic textbooks or business management books? No. But it is the families that drive, with women both playing a very important role. So sisters help their brothers to come up in life by providing help to them in whatever little way they want. Initially, for an entrepreneur, the funds are very important because that is the most difficult part. But here sisters have helped. I'll give another example as to how even grandmothers influence. This happened about now maybe 60 to 60 years back, 63 years back. Whatever I'm going to tell you, it started. There was a young boy, aged 11th standard. He fails in his, he was aged 11. He fails in his 3rd standard. So he comes home. It happened, as I said, some 63 years back. He comes home. Father shouts at him. Father says, you have failed in 3rd standard. How are you going to lead your life? You have a sister and younger brother. I don't know how you are going to manage your life. Then after some thought, he says, okay, don't worry. I know a tea shop here in the local town. I will send you there. He is my friend. You can learn the art of making tea in the tea shop. And after 3 months, I will set up a shop in the main road. That is the road connecting the Tirupur business city, Vasayari city, Baniyan city, and Avinashi. Avinashi is a temple town near Coimbatore. So he said, you can set up a shop here, you can manage your life. Boy was happy because he need not go to school. Every day, the boy used to meet his maternal grandmother. You know, the maternal grandmother lives about 2 kilometers from his own village in her farmhouse. We all know in our tradition, maternal grandmothers have special affection for their grandsons. We all enjoyed it. So this boy, as usual, goes that day also, tells her, Grandma, I have failed in my 3rd standard. So my father has asked me to go and work in a tea shop. Grandma got angry, not because he has failed, but because he has to go to tea shop and wash somebody else's, tumblers, glasses. She didn't like somehow. So she takes her grandson, goes to her daughter's place and fights with her son-in-law. You know, how can you send my grandson to a tea shop? For that, father asks, what can I do? Will he get a collector's job? I don't know anything to do. Then grandma says, let him go and work in the banyan factory in Tirupur. But banyan factory was 12 kilometers from his village and no buses. But because mother-in-law says, father agrees, son-in-law agrees. Oh yes, as per your advice, I'll do. Let him go to banyan shop. And that is how this young boy starts his life. You know, when he narrated his story, at least 3 times he cried before me. So this boy used to go by walking 12 kilometers morning, back again 12 kilometers evening, daily 24 kilometers. There in the factory, he has to work for 12 hours. So very difficult times. Of course, I don't have time to narrate the entire story, but somehow he, because of his hard work, he earns money. So after about almost 7-8 years, he got some small savings, which he thought is enough for him to promote a small unit. But because he did not have education, he wanted to take somebody as a partner with high educational qualification. So he found out somebody with a degree working as a manager in some other business, some other unit. He goes and talks to him because he knew him already, because when he was working in a earlier company, he was there as a manager. He tells him that, sir, if you come with me, you need not give any money, but I will make you as an equal partner. So he comes and joins him. Business was going well. But after 2 years, somehow this his partner took all the money and then ran away. He did not know what to do. Then he goes home. Father shouts at him. Father says, I told you 10 years back, this is not good. So he goes to his grandma and then weeps before her. He says, Grandma, I don't know what to do. I have lost all my 10 years of earnings. Now I don't know anything to do. Grandma says, why are you worried? I have my jewelry with you. You take it and then you sell it. But you start the business once again. But you see that don't take anybody as a partner. You be your own businessman, what we call sole proprietorship. So he accepts that, he does that like that. Then again, he works very hard because he wanted to prove himself. So he used to tell me he worked 18 hours, 20 hours per day. And then for the first time, he got an export order. So he spends all his money and then sends goods to Europe. When the ship carrying his goods was going on, there was at that time, some of you may be knowing, I was a student at that time in college. A bomb fell on the ship that was carrying his goods. So again, he lost everything. He did not know what to do. Again, he runs to his grandma. Grandma says, why are you worried? I have 4 acres of land. I will give it 2 acres to you. You sell it, again, start your business. He follows her advice. Today, he is the largest domestic player in India. He is the largest domestic seller in India. He is the president of the South India Hosiery Manufacturers Association. Now he is employing more than 2,000 workers. He is from Tirupur. If I tell his brand name, most of you can relate it. You might have seen advertisement in newspapers, TVs, etc. Anand Banians. Anand. He is the promoter. His name is Iswaran. He is still there. His name is Iswaran. His grandma died only 4 years back. at the age of 93 or so. So this is just an example to show as to how the grandmother's affection, sacrifice, encouraging words, moral support has given the largest domestic hosiery seller to us in India. Can we understand this? So we have seen across the country, it is the sacrifice of our mothers, grandmothers, family women that contributes huge share of, a huge portion for our economic and business development. So this is due to our culture. So as a result, we have understood that it is the family and culture that dominates our Indian economy and business. The reason why as to how Indian economy and businesses have been growing in the last 70 years, in spite of confusions and contradictions at the policy making level, is due to the strength of our family and the culture. If you see the Western countries now, especially after Corona, completely lost. But even before that, if you take, their economies are in a very bad shape, even though, because of the developments of the last few decades earlier, they are in a comparatively better position, but fundamentally they are weak. They are not very strong. Why? If you see the saving rate in Western countries, many of the countries' saving rate is in single digit. It's about 4%, 5%, 6%, because people don't save money. Why? Because, they don't have the family system as such. So when there is no family, nobody would like to save. Everybody would like to live like an individual. In individualistic societies, there are no savings. But in a family-oriented society like India, there is huge saving because our parents live for us, not for themselves. So because of this cultural background, family system, social system, we have been growing as a powerful nation. So when we go there and study the functioning economy today, functioning business systems today, we understand this. So our economy is fundamentally strong. Our businesses have been growing in the last 60, 70 years. That is the reason why today in international markets, our products dominate in certain areas. For example, if you see the diamond business in India, there is international diamond market in Belgium, in a city called Antwerp, which is the international diamond capital. Today, 70%, more than 70% of the trade takes place through Indians. There are about 400, 500 families in Belgium, Antwerp. That is dominating the global business, not others. Earlier, 12 years back, it was Jews, but today it is Indians. So we are now dominating the global businesses in different areas. Why? Because of our hard work, because of our involvement. If you see Tamil Nadu, even Tamil Nadu, for example, Western Tamil Nadu and Southern Tamil Nadu are industrially, economically advanced. You take Sivakasi, you take Virudhunagar, you take Coimbatore, you take Karur, you take Tirupur, Namakkal. These are all high-performing business centers in India. Till 1920, in Sivakasi, there was nothing. It was a dry place, only salty water. Two people decided to do something, Shanmuganada or Ayyanada. They go to Calcutta, learn the art of matchmaking, that too as very ordinary coolies, employees. 1.5 years they learned. They came and set up their first unit here in 1923. Now almost 70-75% of India's firecrackers go out of only Sivakasi. Almost 50-60% of matchboxes in India are made here in Sivakasi and surrounding region. About 30% of the offset printing works, sophisticated offset printing works, take place in Sivakasi. How did it grow? It grew out of the entrepreneurial abilities of the ordinary Sivakasi people. It grew out of the involvement of the Sivakasi society. So 2-3 people initiate and the society follows it up. This is how in India development has been taking place in the last 60-70 years. There are about almost 5,000, 6,000 business centers, big and small, like Sivakasi. Coimbatore, if you take almost 1 lakh, 1.5 lakh annual business turnover. again promoted by ordinary people. There is no foreign involvement in investment in Coimbatore or Sivakasi or Tirupur. No foreign technology. Completely all our people do it. So our people are capable. They have enormous economic wisdom. In fact, innovations take place in all our most of our economic business centers without educated Indians, universities, colleges knowing about it. Our people have very high innovative capabilities. We have noticed it, we have observed it, we have documented it also sometimes. So our people are highly capable. Only thing is we don't know about it because our education system do not teach about it. So either the proper history or the proper functioning systems are not known to us because we look at India, Indian economy, Indian businesses only from the textbook point of view. So from the indigenous point of view, if you see, we have a high performing functioning system. And this system is based on our strong fundamentals. Our fundamentals are our entrepreneurial capabilities, our saving mentality, our community spirit. And the reason for this, basis for this is our families and the cultural tradition. You know, the reason why India is emerging as a global power today is our based on our strength. Now, all the international agencies, all the research bodies unanimously accept that one country that has the highest potential to emerge as the most important power is India. Everybody accepts this. Why? What is the reason? The reason is our strong fundamentals. So as academics, as those who follow or associated with SSUN, is a nationalistic educational organization, all of us have to understand that we have strong fundamentals. So what we have to do? We have to, besides studying our textbooks, besides fulfilling our responsibilities, we have to see what is happening at the ground level. This is very important. You can go observe, you can take up small field studies like how we started earlier, and then you yourself will understand that India is a different kind of society. In this connection, I would like to tell you that now many foreign universities are coming here, studying about us, and they are telling us you are very great. Can you believe it? I remember Wharton University people, they came here about 10 years back, very top professors, headed by one Peter Capelli, one internationally known management expert. They came here, they wanted to study the corporates. They selected the top 98 companies in India, met with all the chief executives of companies, both private sector, corporate sector. Then they wrote an article in Harvard Business Review in 2010. Later, it came out in the form of a book also. You know what is the title of that book, title of that article? Leadership Lessons from India. We all have a feeling that, only the West should come and teach us about the corporate sector. They come here, undertake a study, and they write a paper, book, and they title it as Leadership Lessons from India. I went through the entire book, and the book says, India has very, very many positive aspects. The book advises the Western corporates, executives, to learn from India, our Indian practices. So this is how now West is doing. So my appeal to you would be, please look at India from the Indian Bharatiya perspectives. Here we have a treasure among us, which we have not realized so far due to the faulty education system. But it is time for us to study India and then to disseminate this information to all. Again, because Sree, I am the associate organization for this lecture is Sree Ayyappa Women's College. I appeal to all my sisters there. You look at our own family system, you take small field studies and see how our women folk, our own sisters, mothers, grandmothers contribute to that system. You will gain enormous knowledge because women are the repositories of economic wisdom in India. So they are not just ordinary human beings. They may look ordinary, they may remain ordinary, but they have enormous economic wisdom. In fact, we have to learn from them. This is what educated sections like us have to do. So I'm extremely happy to be here. to spend some time with you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And your session was, as usual, very brilliant. And you really brought the core point that the basis of our economic system is indeed our family. I would say that indeed our kitchens. And thanks a lot. And we have a lot of, we got very good appreciations and responses in the YouTube chat box, because they are telling that it's very simple and very down to earth examples. I would like to quote, I would like to take the words of Manjula Ubadhyay ma'am, basic down to earth examples showing the real strength of India. And we have questions to you too, sir. I'll begin with Dr. Manir Usman Sheikh. Will you please clarify the impact of GST on MSME? And another question on no, only one question on GST.
Yes. In India, earlier, before 2017, we had about more than dozen statutes, acts governing the MSME sector, business sector. I will take like this, business sector. So as a result, most of our studies are related to these industrial business sectors. I can explain this. For example, if we make a product in Sivakasi, let us say, Sivakasi, it has our firecrackers go up to the north, Jammu Kashmir. So each state, when it crosses, the rate varied, whether it was this movement rates or tariffs when some products enter a state and all, it used to vary. As a result, there were enormous difficulties. And that is the reason why, in fact, this idea to bring about a GST kind of system was being discussed for about more than 20 years. So in 2001, when Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister, a committee was appointed, and that committee recommended that there should be a system wherein you have only uniform tax rates instead of tax rates varying from state to state. And that is the reason why, based on that, this GST was introduced. India is a big country. As I said, it's a very diversified country with business setups varying from very micro level to very big multinational corporations. So very big country, diverse business setups, all these things are there. So it is very difficult to make uniform standardized systems for a country of ours, for a country of ours. But in spite of it, I know there were hundreds of people involved in that, and they spent thousands of hours together, and they introduced this GST. In my opinion, GST is a very good system because, now there is no confusion with regard to states. Whether somebody goes from Coimbatore or Sivakasi, he or she will know this is the rate. Especially for the producer states, it was very, very difficult. In Tamil Nadu is a producer state. So now this difficulty has reduced to a very great extent. But for a big country like India, whenever you introduce a system, it will take time to catch up. So that is the reason why still we may have some difficulties. But I know, as a person who is closely involved in this kind of MSME sector and similar other enterprises, I know now most of their problems, almost more than 90-95% of their difficulties are over. Now, most of the business clusters are happy. I myself come from a business family. My father is engaged in, he is running an MSME business, MSC, medium enterprise business sector. We all know the difficulties we are in textiles. So because of the introduction of GST, now our people are having complete confidence, because they need not pay money to write to any sales tax person. All these difficulties are not there. But in certain areas, certain businesses, with regard to rates, we still may have to give some ideas to our government. Government is welcoming it. Every month there is GST council. In that council, all the state finance ministers are the representatives of the members, so we can go and represent. I feel in the field of indirect taxes, GST is a historical development. So as a result of which now a lot of positive developments are happening. I think in another 1 year, 2 years or so, people will settle down. There will not be any difficulties at all. Thank you.
We have another question on GDP growth rate from Vishwa Anipur. It's taking more time for GDP growth, but to decline, it takes very short time. Why? And one more question. GDP growth rate is from Reshika Srivatsava ma'am. GDP growth rate is affected by corporate disclosure practices or not? It's a question.
Okay. See, as far as this increase decrease is concerned, our friend is right in a way, because when it goes up, it takes time. It takes time. It declines also, it will take time. But because of this corona effect, this is the very bad period for the global economy. This lockdown, this is called a great lockdown. This is much worse than the so-called Great Depression of the 1930s. So as a result, huge decline, steep decline. Otherwise, this decline will not be so fast. See, as far as the corporate disclosure is concerned, GDP, especially for a country like India, it's a very broad measure. So in GDP calculation, it is true that each and every aspect affects this GDP performance and all. But corporate disclosure alone in India, and as I told you, corporate sector in India contributes only 14 to 15% of India's GDP. India, of course, is the second highest number of companies in India. We have almost 12 lakh registered companies in India that are registered incorporated companies in India, as per the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. But in this corporate system itself, if you see the top corporates that are listed in stock markets, whose names appear every day in the stock market prices, etc., only 1% or 2%, less than 2%. So whenever we see the corporates, whatever we see is only that 1% list. Even in our vicinity, if you recollect, there will be many companies, but all these companies are not listed. So only listed companies we know. And as a result, of course, whatever they say, whatever they do also influences GDP. It is important that the disclosures have to be very, very perfect as per rules and all. In many cases, there are discrepancies. That is the reason why we all know there are severe problems for the shareholders, government, etc. But the government is making very serious steps to make it as transparent as possible. You may be knowing, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, I am also sitting as a director in one of the topmost shipping company in India, public sector unit. So we know that these disclosures are very, very important. It's very critical. So this also influences the GDP performance. But India is a very big country with corporate system, especially the listed corporates, playing a less role. It may not be as huge as it is in some of the Western countries like America, most corporatized nations, but it has its own influence. Thank you.
We have got a question now from Akanksha Diksha. I want suggestions on how to start a MSME now in textiles. I need to know what will be the first step in this. Kindly ask my question to sir. Thank you.
Okay. Now the government of India is providing a lot of help now, unlike in the earlier days. So, in fact, government introduced this Make in India scheme in 2015. Yeah? If you go to the Make in India scheme website, initially they identified about 25 different sectors like defense, pharmaceuticals, etc. And textiles is one such sector. So textile is one sector where government wants more and more people to involve, so that, ours is a huge country, 130 crore population, 1/6 of the humanity is here. So government wants more and more people to get involved in that, so that, complete Indianization takes place. In fact, that is the spirit behind ATMANIRBHAR Bharat. We have to understand that India is totally, to a very large extent, a self-reliant nation. In fact, that is the reason why we remained as the most powerful economy in the world for several centuries together. Even today, to a very large extent, India is self-reliant. I was telling you about small businesses now. In small businesses, you will be surprised to know only 2% of the units depend on government for financial assistance. 98% source funds from their own sources. Can you believe it? So this is how India remains to a very large extent self-reliant even today. In fact, if at all one country can become self-reliant so quickly and remain as it is India only, because it is in our spirit. In Vidura Nidhi, sage Vidura said, self-employment is the best status in life. So self-reliance remains our basic philosophy, but only in the last 40, 50 years, because of the various foreign influences, approaches, etc., we had to deviation, but now government is setting right. As far as your query is concerned, now lot of facilities are there. For youngsters like you, this Mudra scheme is there. You can go and get funds very easily. You know that 3 kinds of funds are there. For those who need less, this is called Shishu, child. Like this, there are different stages. You can get funds. So these funds are now very easy to get. You provide the basic documents. Very important. There is another scheme by the government. This is called Stand Up India. In the Stand Up India, you may be interested to know all the branches of all nationalized banks in India have to provide loan at least to one lady. At least to one lady. All nationalized bank branches everywhere in India. So you can go ask them, if at all they are not given minimum one. So you can get loan from them. You can start. But before that, I will advise you, you have to spend time. You have to study about it. Just like that, don't go, because this is highly, it involves the background knowledge and all. I will advise you, you go and talk to somebody who is already running the business, who has experience, or you go and stay, you study about that at least for 3 months, and then start entering it. But without studying, you don't do it, because you may have to lose some money. You be careful, because funds are very, very important. What I want to say is, now government has taken initiative to provide help to those people, especially youngsters, particularly the women, to promote businesses. It is very easy for you.
Thank you so much, sir. Actually, it is this question, I feel that this is what we need. More than theory,
Yes,
the question
yes.
that touches the people. And there is a question from Jyoti Patil ma'am. Sir, how can we improve our economic condition in COVID-19? And Jay Chitra ma'am has made a comment. East India Company has destroyed us, but still the struggle continues. Why it is so? And Vehil Murugan Vaidilingam sir, he has told that, can you please explain when will India bounce back economically?
Yes. See, as far as this COVID-19 is concerned, this is unexpected. And the impact also we never anticipated. In fact, nobody in the world anticipated this. So as a result of which, the impact is huge. We never expected, because this is unprecedented in the last at least century or so. So as a result, now we are affected. But we have to remember, compared to most of the countries in the world, we remain, even today, we remain in a better position. We remain in a better position. I will give just one example to you. You know, when the coronavirus started attacking us, when we learned about it, when the world came to know about it during March 3rd week or so, you know, nobody has the equipment, facilities to deal with the virus. Now the doctors wear this personal protective equipment, doctors, all medical personnel that we see in hospitals, etc. So we had to import in the month of March. But you know what is today? Today, we not only make 6 to 7 lakh units per day, PPEs, but also from July, we have started exporting. So government of India has permitted our entrepreneurs to export 5 million units per month. You know, when the entire nation was locked down, under lockdown, when we were all sitting at home, there are hundreds of entrepreneurs who started making this. And within a period of 3 months, we have not only become self-reliant, we have become exporters also. This is India. This is India. This is the spirit, self-reliant spirit is within us. So you need not worry. You know, we will be able to come back very quickly. Of course, now we do not know when will this lockdown be, when will this virus go away. We don't know. It may take another 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. We don't have any idea. So this year, maybe to 2021, this financial year, our economy may not go to a very important, particular improve. We may not improve to a great extent. But after 1 year, in my opinion, when all these things settle down, I have a strong feeling that our economy will improve and we will be the superior #1 economy in the next few years. There is no doubt at all. In fact, the coronavirus has taught the world one lesson. And the important lesson is that all the Western economic approaches have failed. I am not saying this. Even President Trump says we have to be nationalistic. We have to increase manufacture within the country. You know, there is an organization called the WTO, World Trade Organization, that was promoted with much fanfare to improve ties, relationships among countries for trade. Can you believe that for the last 1 month, there is no chairman for that? No country is willing to sit together with other countries so that a new chairman can be appointed, because all the global institutions have failed. Global theories have failed. So what is required now is the nation-centric, nation-based approach. Compared to any other country, we have that approach because that is how we have been living. Our culture has started to live in a self-reliant manner. So as a result, India has a very good future. Only problem is, till this corona period, like all others in the world, we also have to face this difficulty. But we do not know when we'll end, because no idea about when is it going to end. So this is the problem. Otherwise, you need not worry. Even if you see every month now, IMF, it is releasing its predictions for GDP this year. You please go through that. Except India and China, all other countries are in a very bad position. Only India and China, among the bigger countries, are in a comparatively good position because of our strength, our family strength, our traditional cultural strength. So this is the reason. There was a question about East India Company also. Now, I'm happy to inform you that the East India Company building, the building that was owned by East India Company, originally built by East India Company, was purchased by an Indian a few years back. So now the East India Company is in the hands of an Indian, settled in foreign country. So this East India Company is no longer there, but what you say is the spirit. I accept that in some of the areas, still that, foreign elements are dominating in certain sectors, and we are aware of it. I am very happy to inform you that the government is also aware of it, and that is why this ATMANIRBHAR Bharat. You may be knowing, yesterday there was a news, especially in the pharmaceutical sector, government has taken already initiative. In all other sectors also. You know, defense sector was largely dependent on foreign countries, but today more and more Indian units are involved. Not only you companies, even MSME sectors. So now government is aware of it. So after a few years, I hope and pray that this East India syndrome should not be here in India, because we are capable of managing.
Okay, thank you, sir. And
Thank you.
I will like Riti Arya, Professor Riti Arya has asked, sir, what are the chances that India be ready now for pandemics like COVID-19 in future years if something like this happen again? And
Yes.
I would like to club this question with Vasudevalan, Professor Vasudevalan's question. Dentistry is included in MSME. What is your opinion on this?
Which one is included?
Dentistry.
Oh, dentistry. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. Yes. See, as far as COVID again is concerned, if similar things happen here, in my opinion, we will be well prepared. You know, I want to mention here one particular aspect. Compared to many other countries now, even advanced countries, we are in a better position to manage disasters. That is because of one is our own nature. Second, we have, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, I know, government has particularly taken steps to see that now there is a disaster management authority now. There are experts. They are doing this work. I want to recall one particular incident, you know, about 1-2 years back, when the ISIS terrorists were attacking people in Iraq and all. You know, our people were also there. Indians were also there. You know, Indians working in those countries, they were there. So our Indian government immediately took steps and then brought all of us together, all of them together. Not only that, you know, apart from Indians, there were many countries. I don't remember the number of countries, more than 10 countries, 10 or 15 countries that approached us, including European countries, and we helped them. They were not able to do it. We were able to do it, because now, as far as disaster management is concerned, now we are in a very better position. Disaster management is being discussed in some of the universities like Jawaharlal Nehru University, I know particularly. There are disaster management units that are teaching this, etc. So I feel that whenever such calamities happen, pandemics happen in future, we will be certainly more prepared than any other country in the world. I don't have time, otherwise I would explain to you. I explained only PPE. You know, if you take even these railways, you know, within a month, our railway department was able to convert the traditional coaches, and then now some of them are used for hospitals, for COVID purposes, etc. So we are better prepared. As far as dentistry included in MSME sector is concerned, you know, it is based on the representation from the doctors from that particular segment, dentistry group. So it is they who wanted this. So I have very limited knowledge about this medicine and all, but I know that they were asking for it. Beyond that, I don't know. I am very sorry.
Thank you so much, sir. We have got a response from Ram Subbiah, Professor Ram Subbiah, that our program is running ahead of our scheduled time. But I would like to say that we got most of the 50% of the questions after 3:30. Which
Okay.
shows that people, instead of asking for feedback form, our participants are asking more and more questions, and we should respect that.
Yes.
And the final question from Sharavanan P. Pillai, sir. What type of higher education system is preferred in the context of COVID?
Okay. Higher education system. Okay. I have 2 points here. Even in the normal circumstances, I feel that the Indian education system should be more Indian oriented. As I said when I started my lecture, you know, our education system is largely based on Western theories, Western concept. It should be more on Indianized approaches, Indianized ways of life and all. That's what we have been trying to do. But as far as this COVID system is concerned, of course, I belong to ICSSR, Indian Council of Social Science Research. After the COVID attack, now we invited applications from the scholars, professors, faculty members from different parts of the country to take up studies on this COVID issue. You know, how certain states have performed well, bad, what are the issues involved, covering various issues. And you will be surprised to know that we have received more than 1,200 proposals. And then ICSSR is going through it. And we feel that these studies would help us to understand the COVID aspects, different aspects, social aspects, political aspects, economic aspects, medical aspects better. So we may have to, if somebody asked earlier, what will we do if this is similar, if a similar kind of pandemic attack us later? You know, we will be more prepared for this. So in that respect, especially ICSSR, we have taken lead, and now proposals are has already been sent to the experts for first round of their monitoring. So these studies, once it comes out, maybe by the end of this year or so, we are expecting this will provide a lot of insights to us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a wonderful session, and thank you for giving us your precious time. Now, let me invite Dr. K.S. Radhakrishnan, Assistant Professor of English, Aranyarana College, Aralvaimozhi, Kanyakumari District, to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of Shiksha Sanskriti Udhanya. Sir, please.
Good evening, participants. I am Radhakrishnan K.S., Assistant Professor of English from Aranyarana College, Aralvaimozhi, Kanyakumari District. First of all, I would like to thank SSUN Kanyakumari region for giving me this opportunity. Next, I thank Sree Ayyappa College for Women for jointly organizing this faculty development program on Self-Reliant India mission. I thank our chief guest, Dr. P. Kanakasabhapathi, Independent Director, the Shipping Corporation of India, Mumbai, for sparing his valuable time for us today. His keynote address on Indian economy and business and indigenous perspective really echoes the spirit of ATMANIRBHAR ABHIYAN initiated by our beloved Prime Minister. Our guest has brought to our notice that we Indians had a very long tradition of self-reliance by citing the active participation of even women during our glorious past. When many foreign countries invade a nation, it is quite clear that who was really self-reliant. I once again thank our chief guest for patiently clearing all our queries. I thank our chief guest on behalf of SSUN Kanyakumari. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, I thank the organizing secretaries and conveners of this program. I also thank Dr. Sonia V for giving the welcome address. Finally, I thank every participant of this program for listening so patiently. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Radhakrishnan sir. And now let us conclude the program with the Shanti Mantram.
सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां